So again, hello everyone, and welcome to our third and last webinar about Explore Disciplined Agile in 3 webinars. Today we will have our question and answer session with one of the Disciplined Agile founder. So we had already 2 sessions. One was Disciplined Agile in a nutshell, and we already had Disciplined Agile from the field. Today, Dario Morandotti, Outreach Director for PMI Northern Italy chapter, and myself, Fabio Rigamonti, Disciplined Agile chapter champion for the same chapter, will be happily hosting our special guest, Scott Ambler. Scott is the Vice President and Chief Scientist of the Disciplined Agile at the Project Management Institute, co-founder of Disciplined Agile, creator of the Agile Modeling and Agile Data Methods, book author, and frequent conference keynote speaker. So some technical information before asking the questions to Scott. For PDU, if you enter your PMI membership ID while registering for this webinar, the PDU will be reported automatically in 2 weeks' time. Please allow us this time frame for reporting the PDU. The webinar format. All the 3 webinars were pre-recorded, so live interaction is limited. Recordings will be available on PMI Northern Italy chapter YouTube channel. To find out our YouTube channel, you can go to pmi-nic.org. You will arrive to the newly designed PMI NIC site. There is a tab about us, and on the right-hand side, you will find all our social media, including the YouTube channel. In 10 days top, all the 3 webinars will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So during the first 2 sessions, we received so many questions, and we decided to group by the questions in 3 main areas: the toolkit, PMI NDA, and certifications. And if you don't find exactly the question you have sent it to us, it's because many questions were similar, and we decided to merge all together similar questions. So we are ready to start with the toolkit questions. Over to you, Dario.
Hello, everyone. This is Dario, and we will switch question by question between myself and Fabio in asking the question. So the first really is an ice-breaking session question, and to Scott, what is the genesis of Disciplined Agile? Can you tell us a bit of a history, which idea it's coming from, and maybe also some anecdotes? Please, Scott.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So the Disciplined Agile came out of some work that I did along with some business partners, one of which was Mark Lyons, when I was at IBM, and I was the chief methodologist for IT there. And we were working with organizations around the world to help them to understand and to scale Agile and Lean software development at the time across their organizations. And so myself and my team, we and our business partners, we were seeing similar issues, and we were seeing that organizations were struggling with Agile. They're certainly struggling with it at scale. And so we made a couple of key observations. One of the observations was that nobody was really getting it right. They were still sort of struggling with various aspects. So they needed help. We also saw that everybody was doing Agile differently because people are unique, teams are unique, organizations are unique, and everybody faces a unique situation. So the classic framework simply wasn't working for them, and because it wasn't flexible enough. So on the one hand, people needed help. On the other hand, the usual process help wasn't getting the job done, and really wasn't going to. So based on those 2 observations, we really started thinking about it, and it took us almost half a year to come up with the solution. But we realized that we really need to give people choices, which is where all this choice-driven stuff in Disciplined Agile came about. So then we started applying. So this was, 2008, 2009 timeframe. So we started applying these ideas at various organizations and started teaching it and started getting the word out. And that eventually led to the first Disciplined Agile book, which was called Disciplined Agile Delivery. And that was published in June of 2012. And that at that point, that's when I left IBM. And then Mark and I formed a company, a consulting company, and we started bringing DA out to the world, and we evolved the toolkit over time. So it evolved from being a software development focused thing into now a business agility overall toolkit for the organization. So, and in August of 2019, as we all know, PMI purchased the Disciplined Agile organization in order to obtain the toolkit and ourselves, and we've been evolving it from there, along with the flex material from Al Shalloway, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Thank you for recapping such a long story in a few minutes. Definitely interesting. So we're moving to the second question. Can you tell us about an outstanding DA implementation you have seen? What they did very well, worth mentioning?
Yeah, definitely. So it's been implemented in many organizations, and there's we've been working on case studies. We had a few case studies that we published, but now with PMI, we're in the process of publishing more with interviews. Sunil's doing interviews with some of these people, and we've got some really good stuff coming out later on this summer. And so several organizations have done this very well. What comes to mind is a company called, or an organization called ICBC in British Columbia, Canada. They're an insurance organization. It's a government agency. They have spent several years adopting DA. They're still in the process of doing that. Franklin Templeton in the United States, which is a financial institution, they are also in the process of adopting DA. They're also several years in. Papa John's Pizza, pizza company in the United States as well, also they've been adopting DA a couple of years in now as well. So some of the things that they do well, that they've all been doing well, is they realize this is a long-term process. It's a long-term journey that requires a lot of executive knowledge, executive help. So they all received executive training as well as training of the teams. They looked at the bigger picture. They realized it's about more than just software development, that the entire organization needs to shift, and that it's going to take time and effort to do so. So there's no quick fix. And I think this is where most organizations fail with Agile, is they want to just adopt something really quick. They'll adopt a framework and they'll get a little bit of training, maybe hire a coach for a few months, and then they want to declare success. And it simply doesn't work that way. This is a long-term, multi-year effort to change your way of working, to change all the structures and the way that you collaborate together across your organization. So it's a big thing.
Okay, Dario again. As we know, Disciplined Agile toolkits suggest and support to choose your way of working, which is relatively new. Maybe it's a quite an interesting aspect. But this freedom may seem to some people a bit disorienting. So how this choice of freedom has to be intended, and maybe to which reference compared?
Yeah, so fundamentally, everybody is unique and every team is unique. So if you want to be effective, you need to find a way of working that makes sense for you in your current situation. And of course, your situation also evolves over time. So, due to changes in the marketplace, changes in the environment. So I don't have to tell you about COVID-19, right? So this is, injected a fairly major change for many organizations. And so we have to respect that, and we have to, and this is one of our original observations when we first started formulating DA, was that everybody's unique, and even if they weren't, the situation evolves anyways. So we have to have the freedom to choose. So it's not, particularly in modern organizations, it's not so simple that we can just say, do it this way and this will work for everybody. There's no such thing as a best practice. And we really need to give up on that concept, because it's never been true, actually, as far as I know. I've literally been looking for best practices for 30 years now. I have yet to find a single one. I found a lot of practices marketed that way, but when just a little bit of investigation very quickly shows that any given practice works well in some situations and is an incredibly bad idea in others. So we need to choose to observe that, and we need to observe that the only way we can be effective as professionals is to be prepared to choose our own way of working. So which is hard, and which is why it's disorienting, which is why the DA toolkit exists. It exists to help you to do exactly this. So that way you can be successful in your environment, and as the situation changes, you will also be able to evolve your way of working to meet those changes in the marketplace and changes in your environment. So this is an absolutely critical skill that you will need to succeed in the current environment, let alone in the post-COVID-19 environment.
Yeah, and one of the principles is actually context counts, and we definitely need to adapt the way of working to the context. So the next question is, when implementing DA, what are the issues with having to pay most attention to? And by your experience, what are the most difficult aspects to implement?
Yeah, so the quick answer is it depends. It really does depend on the situation that you're in. But the most difficult things tend to be people, and the people not wanting to change, or wanting to change in different ways, or having different views. So you really need to stay focused on the people involved, on helping them, on recognizing that people learn in different ways, they learn at different rates, they have different points of view, they have different goals. You really need to help coach them and guide them and help them along. You also need to help them understand that this is important, and to take a more robust view. I mean, one of the principles is enterprise awareness, to make them aware that we really need to do what's right for the organization, and better yet, even for the overall ecosystem in which we exist in, and not just what's convenient for us. So it's really the people issues that are critical at all levels in your organization, and this is what's truly challenging for most companies.
Okay, let's talk on a governance now. Can you explain better the process-based governance, what exactly it is, and how this in practice can address teams with different way of working? That means also different governance.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a major issue. So a couple things I want to point out. So governance is not a swear word in Disciplined Agile. So you are going to be governed. I think you deserve to be governed well. So now you might not be governed well, but you deserve to be governed well. So in DA, we built governance right in. So as you point out, there's a process blade called governance, which looks at the overall governance of your organization. So for example, in PMI, we have the practice guide, the standards around governance of portfolios, programs, and projects, which is a very good book, actually. If you read that guide, it's actually quite impressive. The overall mindset and the strategies and the ideas and the thinking that went into that book, it's pretty clear that it's an effective approach to governance. The challenge, of course, is in your organization, are you implementing that? And governance is about more than just portfolios and programs and projects. There's data governance, security governance, architecture governance, human resources governance, many, many others. And so we need to govern all of those things, and we need to do it coherently across the organization. So, and in the second part of that question, you rightfully point out that this is a challenge when all these teams are working differently. So first of all, I would invite you, so if you're a governance person, if you're a leader in your organization, I would invite you to accept the fact that teams will work differently. And this has been happening forever, because different people are different, teams are different, everything's different. Now, you might have a governance process in place right now that forces people to jump through the same quality gates and forces them to fill out the same templates and the same forms and to get reviews at the same time, and you're forcing a governance process on them. If that's your approach, I guarantee, like, knowing nothing about your organization, but knowing a lot about people, I know your people are faking the governance. So you're not really governing, that's bureaucracy. So in DA, what we do is we take a step back from this and we realize that human behavior will be that if the governance effort is, or if any effort is not valid, if it's not effective, not really adding value, people will do the least amount of work they can in order to conform, and that will be it. So you're not really governing in that case when that's happening. And so good governance is all about motivation and enablement. I want to motivate you to do the right thing, and I want to enable you. I want to make it as easy as possible to do the right thing. So one of the things we do in DA is, instead of making governance onerous, thou shalt fill out this form and thou shalt have this review, that's just going to get faked. So what we do is, instead, we say, you need to address these risks, and you've got different options to address those risks. And as long as you address those, and here's why you need to address these risks. This is a good thing. So I want to motivate you to take a risk-driven approach in order to make your efforts more successful, which is what it's all about. And then I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. So what happens is, recognizing that teams will work in different ways, we have to have a flexible governance approach that's risk-based. So as long as you find a way to pay down these common risks, such as, so if you're doing a project, at the beginning of a project, make sure you have a common vision. And there's different ways you can do that, but as long as you've got that, and as long as your stakeholders are in agreement around that, then you're good to go. If you're on a software development project, or if you're on any sort of development or building type of a project, you should prove your architecture. Actually, if everybody could go on mute, that would be great. You should go on. So you should prove your architecture very early on to pay down technical risks. So, and there's different ways you can do that. So as long as they're observably paying down these risks in some way, then that's great. So the governance needs to be flexible, and it needs to, because different teams for different situations, the governance approach must be flexible enough to reflect those situations, yet still get the job done. So it is a different approach to governance, that different from many organizations in a way. So it requires flexibility and skill on the part, knowledge on the part of the people doing the governance. So one size does not fit all.
Yeah, I think this was one of the most surprising process blades, because as you mentioned at the beginning of your answer, governance and agile looks weird together, but in the way you've just explained, as a lean governance is definitely an important blade.
Yeah.
And then another question is, why the IT disappeared in the new kit? Why this change? And this, I think, is something pretty new that was published or promoted 1 month ago or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So we've been getting this question a lot because we haven't explained it well. But so there'll be a blog coming up soon. But anyways, so what happened? So it hasn't disappeared. So if you notice, there's a process blade now for IT, and actually the DA IT layer was always a process blade to begin with, but it was a layer. So if you look at if you look at the old diagram and compare it to the new diagram, nothing has really gone away. This is just a refactoring of the way that we communicate things, because there was a significant focus on IT in the previous version of DA, and which was fine. This is the way it had evolved, and so it made a lot of sense. But then we started realizing that there was some bias towards IT. At the same time, when we started integrating the flex work of Al Shalaway into the DA toolkit, this really filled a hole for us, and it really brought up this idea that value streams are far more important as a focus than the IT focus that we had. So we downplayed IT a bit. We brought the value stream concept up a bit. So we basically swapped out, we refactored things to swap value streams in as a major concept, and IT got downplayed a bit. So that's basically what happened. And the toolkit's much stronger for that now, I believe. As we'll see, I hope.
This is maybe a question coming directly from the perception of one of our practitioners. He or she said they were expecting the A to be a little bit more hybrid, and he would like to have a better guidance and lesson learned on how to blend different approach, or like a waterfall and agile.
Yeah, so I would argue DA is very clearly a hybrid. So it's interesting, the Agile people beat us up because it's too waterfallish, and the waterfall people beat us up because it's too Agile-ish. So that tells me we got it right. But anyway, so yeah, so it definitely is a hybrid. And so if you look, we support several project-based life cycles which have phases because projects work in phases, so that makes sense. If we also have some non-project life cycles, and they don't really work in phases, so they don't have phases. So there is a bit of a hybrid. So depending on the life cycle you're looking at, there's some very clear hybrid nature to it. We don't have a waterfall life cycle at the present moment. This is something we're working on. We do have always recognized that it exists. One of our principles was always that organizations are hybrids, and you'll have some waterfallish, some agile, some lean, some combinations thereof. So we were always very clear about that from the very beginning. And what's interesting, if you look at the new diagram, the new overall big picture, there's actually in the foundation layer, we explicitly call out serial ways of working in that layer. If you look at the Choose Your Wow book, which as PMI members you can download as a PDF free of charge from PMI.org, you'll see that in the life cycle chapter 6 in that book, that there's like a flow chart type of a thing to choose between life cycles, and the traditional serial waterfall life cycle does appear on that. Now we assume though that right now we assume that if that's the path that you decide to go, that you decide to stay with a serial approach, which is a valid decision in some cases, that you would follow more along the lines of the traditional PMI advice that is currently in place. So, but having said that, we are going to bring in a serial life cycle at some point, and that's on our radar scope, probably for the next release.
I like that you're talking about releases of the toolkit. Is there any predefined pace? When are we expecting to have a new things? So
yeah, we're working on that issue right now. We do have a roadmap, which I don't think is published publicly. It's published internally, but basically we have a quarterly release plan for them right now, for the most part. And but things are constantly shifting as our priorities change. So, but we haven't published anything yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in defining the toolkit as a hybrid, the PMBOK and perspective approaches are shown as one of the sources. I think you already answered to this one.
Yep.
How much waterfall can we use in Disciplined Agile, and how easily can we integrate it with the rest of the Agile team? So again, I think here we have a question on how to make waterfall team working with Agile team.
Yeah, that's all fair stuff. So in the past, we had written a fair bit, and actually did some webinars on this very topic. So how does a waterfall team interact with an agile team, and vice versa? When you have dependencies between teams. We have some detailed articles on these topics on projectmanagement.com now. So some of our blogs got all of our critical blogs got transferred over to projectmanagement.com. So if you go poking around there, we've got some overly detailed articles, I would argue, on this various issue, where we work through the various combinations. So what does a waterfall team do when they have dependencies on an agile team or on a lean team? What does an agile team do when it's got a dependency on a waterfall team, and so on? So how do you manage, because that's the critical issue, right? How do you manage those dependencies? And what's interesting is it's the expectations between the two teams, and it's one of risk. I'm a firm believer in looking at things in terms of risk, and the waterfall teams tend to be working in a much riskier manner than the agile and lean teams. Unfortunately, the waterfall teams don't see it that way because there's certain risks associated with waterfall, in particular business risk that's pushed all the way back to the end of the life cycle. And they just don't perceive that. So there's like a very serious cultural impedance there. And so what happens is, because of the risky behavior of waterfall teams, agile teams are phenomenally frustrated with waterfall because of this lack of understanding of risk, basically. And they couch it in different terms, but that's basically what's going on. Waterfall teams, though, are very frustrated with agile teams due to the lack of documentation, because detailed documentation written up front is actually a very risky proposition, which they're blind to. So you see very different cultures going on. So there's these and different approaches and different views on risk, basically, that don't mesh well. So for example, the agile teams get frustrated with waterfall teams because there's no testing harness usually throughout most of the project. So they've got they can't actually prove that any of their stuff is working. So it's all big surprise until the very end, and then they discover, oh, it's not going so well. So anyway, so it's very, very different cultures. So anyway, so we work through, in those articles, we work through what the issues are and how do you deal with them, and how do you sort of overcome the arguments and the finger pointing and stuff like that. So it's a topic probably worthy of a little white paper or book at some point.
Thank you. Next question.
Okay, I would generalize a little bit this question, Scott, and maybe say, what are the relationship between Disciplined Agile and Flex in general? How do they serve each other?
Yeah, so Flex has been integrated completely now into DA. So it's really DA Flex in a way. So Flex and there's more to Flex than this, but it basically implements the value stream layer within DA. So what was interesting was Prima purchased DA as of August 1st of 2019, and then about 6 or 7 weeks later purchased Flex, and the Net Objectives company, which is where Al Shalloway and Flex comes from. And what was interesting was, as we were in the process of making that acquisition, I spent a lot of time with Al and work with him on a daily basis now, but at the time it was a bit concerning, right? Because I've been through mergers before, and they can be a bit of a mess. And what was really interesting was that, and I'd known Al and I had known each other for years, and so I wasn't worried about a personality issue, but what I was worried about was does this stuff integrate? And what just blew both Al and I away was that we had both been coming from the same, and Mark Lyons, of course, too, and all of us have been coming from the same basic experiences. We've been helping large organizations around the world, large and small organizations around the world, to adopt this agile and lean stuff. We've been running into the same sorts of issues. We had very similar experiences because we'd been out there doing this stuff for a long time, and we were both coming up with solutions to these problems that organizations were facing. And what was phenomenally interesting was that we'd come at the same problem from different directions, and both groups were homing in on the same basic solution, but we had come from it from different directions. So from a process wonk point of view, DA, we've been coming at it from more of a static process point of view, whereas Al was coming from it from more of a dynamic process view. So we've been focusing on the life cycle and good stuff like that. So Flex basically filled in a hole in that we had in DA for a while around how do you actually implement value streams and discuss how to do that, like show actually how to do it from beginning to end. And this is something that nobody else had really done. Like a lot, some of the other frameworks talk about this, but they don't really truly have a true value stream solution, like nothing like we see in Flex. And but DA was bringing to the table all the options. So where Al had been working on, how do you do product management? We had been working on, well, what are the options for doing product management? So then they fit together phenomenally well. So there was, it was actually incredible how well all this stuff fit together, and yet how little overlap. So the stuff that we were missing, Flex filled in, and the stuff that Flex was missing, DA filled in. So it was pure luck. And it really was. Both groups were just amazed how well it had actually worked out. Because you never would have predicted that. So now in the new release, we see all the results of that. Anyways. Yeah.
So the last question about the toolkit, suggestion for beginners. How do you suggest to start in practice learning, adopting DA in our projects? Can you make positive examples and negative ones?
Yeah, so I think first of all, you do have to get a little bit of training. So we've created the basics of DA online workshop that you can take as a self-paced online virtual workshop. There's a lot of instructors they're teaching DA around the world. Most of it's virtual now, of course, due to COVID. Eventually, I suspect we'll get back into the physical classrooms at some point, but right now it's all being taught virtually. So you do need to get some education. You do need to often get coaching. A lot of the time, so if you're brand new to Agile, it might even be easier because you don't have as many of the biases of the purists to overcome. But even if you've been doing Scrum for a couple of years, there'll be a bit of attitude adjustment just to realize, hey, there's more to life than Scrum. And then realize that some of the biases of the Scrum community really don't play out well in practice. So because we look beyond, we don't limit ourselves to Scrum or Kanban or Safe or anything. Or even PMBOK Guide. We really do. It really is a hybrid where we combine a very wide range of ideas and put them into context. So a lot of it is this issue of people coming to the table with an open mind, that they want to learn new ways of working, and that they don't know everything that there is to know, that they can always get better, they can always improve. And I think that's the and for existing Agilists, the big challenge is almost always realizing that there is so much more to Agile than what they've been taught in their 2-day certification course. And then they got to get out of the Scrum echo chamber. Or the Safe echo chamber, whatever framework they're following, they've got to get out of that echo chamber. And once they do that, then they realize, wow, we can do so much better. We can actually achieve the vision of Agile if we only had a little more discipline.
So we're moving to the next set of questions. Dario?
Yeah, so we are halfway from the question and answer session right now. And it's time to move from the relationship between the PMI and DA, which it's something relatively new. So the first question is really if the two certification will be merged, and there is also a question on why to pay different fees for PMA and DA in membership, certification, and so on.
Yeah, so the reason why there was two was because we're two different organizations in the past. So and we've been in the process of merging all these things. Including we're just about to announce the membership is merging. So frankly, given it might even be today. So depending on when you listen to this recording, you've probably already received an email telling you all about this. So anyways. Like I said, it might already be done depending on when you listen to this, but we're in the process of merging the certifications. Merging the memberships. And so we're gonna take DA, people who are existing DA members in good standing, and move them over to PMI membership. So if you're both a PMI and a DA member, then it's not going to affect you at all. If you're only a DA member in good standing, then you'll get moved over into the PMI membership, and you'll be receiving an email about that soon. And we're gonna move people over in waves, so it could be an issue that you get moved over, but your colleague hasn't yet, and then a few days later your colleague will be moved over too. So you'll see an email. You'll soon get an email describing all this, and it's pretty straightforward stuff.
Okay, I just finished paying both a few days ago. So
sorry about
good
that.
Good news coming for me.
Yeah, sorry about that. And we're just about to announce a new approach to the certification, where the DA certifications, along with ACP and the other certifications at PMI, are being merged into a more coherent whole. So you'll soon hear announcements around the updated certification process.
So let's see if the other questions are related to certification. Oh, well, some people notice inconsistency between ACP's glossary and DA's. Is any work in progress to align the terminology?
Yes, so we're always evolving DA. So keep in mind the two glossaries were written by different groups of people, so you should assume different answers. Welcome to the English language is the short story on that one. And the DA takes a much wider range than ACP for many reasons. So there's some of that, but most of it's just different people wrote them. But yes, we're in the process of increasing the consistency over time. And it's not just an ACP and DA thing; it's a DA and PMI stuff thing in general. So and it's just all PMI stuff. So we're working on making it all consistent over time. But there will never be perfect. If you're waiting for a day when there's perfect consistency, it will not happen. It's just English language doesn't work that way. So pick up a dictionary. There's multiple definitions for everything. So
Okay, this is a question about how to report credits. So the PDU for these 3 webinars are automatically reported into PMP and ACP, but not for CDAP. So it's a technical question. What should a participant do to get CDAP recognized?
Sure, just log into disciplinedagile.consortium.org and put them into your member profile. Yeah, so it's a pure data entry issue.
It's self accreditation then?
Yes, it is. Yeah, there's no automated feed right now. Eventually there will be. One of the reasons why we're merging the memberships, we're eventually going to turn down the Disciplined Agile Consortium site after we've moved everything over to PMI.org. And then we'll see in the future, you'll see greater automation. So, this problem will go away, but it's still there. You still have to do it manually, unfortunately.
Will the PDUs that people, or the points that people will report on the Disciplined Agile Consortium will be merged and moved to the PMI account when the merge will be completed?
Yes, so that's our hope. We have not done that work yet to move that data over, so I don't want to commit to anything either way. But this is a known issue that we're actively working on. I just don't know what the exact answer is going to be.
So that's a broad question. What is the vision of PMI about Disciplined Agile? The changes to books and changes to the exam will be paced and managed with PMI?
Yeah, so this is a very big question. So I don't know if I can be able to answer it all. But yeah, so very clearly PMI has made a very deep investment in Disciplined Agile. So moving forward, this is obviously a very important thing for PMI, and which is great, and it's been great all around. And so I think there's that. So there is intent to continue evolving DA, continue evolving all the PMI IP, not just DA, but certainly, my team is focused on DA, but yeah, certainly there's that. We are in the process, we're constantly updating the exams and working on the books and exams and good stuff like that. So yeah, there's active recognition of the need to not only update DA material, but also existing practices and practice guides and standards and good stuff like that. And there's also some exciting changes that will be occurring to PMI.org coming up that will make all this simpler, I hope. So stay tuned is the answer. But yeah, DA is a major thing for PMI and will be for many, many years to come. Yeah.
Okay, this is a question about training, how to get appropriate training, and currently there is not, it's not provided yet by what's formally called the PMI rep, and now they are called the ATP. Do you think that that will come in the future, near or far, or how do you think this will evolve in terms of training?
Yes, so this will be announced very soon. So depending on when you listen to this recording, it may already be done. So yes, so we're in the process of bringing DA into the authorized training partner program. Up until now, there's been a DA training partner program that has been going along very well. So things are going to get merged in, and existing training partners will be taken care of appropriately. So yes. So the quick answer is more than likely by the time anybody listens to this, it's been done. So yeah, so we're announcing this very thing right now.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So we are to the final set of questions, and this is pretty long. So going through the DA certification process is expensive. For someone in a tier 1 country, the costs widely vary per trainer to become CDAC or CDAI, anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 euro. Is it possible to align the cost for certification for all DA providers, and that the pricing and duration for all the certification modules on the DA certification roadmap, so people know exactly what they're getting into when they start this journey?
Yeah, so I'll answer the third question first. The answer is no. So the challenge is that we don't dictate to the training partners what to charge. There's a license fee that we charge them, and then they're able to charge whatever they can charge in their marketplace above and beyond that to make a profit. So the fact that you're seeing a range of prices is a reflection of this fact. So the challenge ends up being one of the quality of the instructor, what they're willing to, what can you get in your marketplace, first of all, but also what's the quality of the instructor. So more senior instructors get paid more because they're worth it. So there's that sort of thing going on. The good thing though, one of the few side benefits, I guess, of the COVID-19 crisis is that most of this training is now, at least the publicly offered courses, are virtual online. So you can effectively, of course, there's language issues and stuff like that, and time zone issues, but there's now many instructors worldwide offering virtual instructor-led training courses. So it's opened up the market for that. Now, if you're looking for Italian instruction only, then obviously it's pretty much only going to be coming from Italy. But so the quick answer is depends. But yeah, this is and we do suggest to the training partners to keep the training keep the training price within a reasonable range. But unfortunately, they're free to set their own prices. So this is just something we need to live with.
Seems that some people that listened to the previous webinars are already becoming interested in becoming training partners. So how to become a training partner, and why they have to go through as certified Disciplined Agile partner instruction, and when the information on the website page will be available.
Yeah, so this information will probably be up by the time you listen to this webinar. We were planning on announcing this yesterday, and then yes, something happened with the email, but it's probably been announced already by the time you listen to this. So the information will be on the website, including the instructions for how to become a training partner. We are asking the instructors to go through a partner through an ATP, just in order to keep it manageable, and it's a quality control issue as well on the part of the instructors. Well, for the training partners and the instructors. So there's that. Now, having said that, it's a fairly straightforward thing to do. So if you want to be so if you're a lone person and you want to, a trainer, and you want to become a DA trainer, then aligning with an existing training partner should be a fairly straightforward thing for you to do. That's something you need to negotiate with them. But most of these training partners are on the lookout now for good people that can train in Agile, and more importantly, of course, in Disciplined Agile. So there's a lot of opportunity there. You'll just have to go looking about for an existing ATP that you're willing to work with.
Okay, I have probably to clarify to our listener that we are recording this webinar on the 30th of June. So the first occasion that will be broadcast is 2nd of July. Then we might have a sequential and additional broadcast later on. So please be aware that we are, as a date, or recording date, is the 30th of June.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, June of 2020.
Oh, okay.
You never know. Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
As Disciplined Agile is part of PMI, why you don't provide your acclaim badges? Will they come? When? I think it's related to LinkedIn, where people show these Euroclaim certification.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know the exact date, but yeah, like I said, we're in the process of merging all this stuff. So anybody's ever been through a merger and acquisition effort, it just takes time. And we got some things done first, and we've been working down the merger backlog, I guess you would say. And yeah, this is coming up soon, this sort of thing. Yeah, so we're fully merging DA into PMI. So very soon you'll see that this is all the standard PMI processes and stuff like that. So just a matter of time.
Okay, I'm literally reading the question as we received, and we have not changed it. So when trying to dig a bit deeper about the certification, the information on PMI website is the following. PMI is investigating way to improve coaching, certification, and Disciplined Agile. Therefore, will not be accepting CDAC application at this time. This is out from some time. Can you have an idea of what changes are coming, and can we pursue the path?
Yes, so keeping in mind that this is June 30th of 2020, this will soon be resolved. We've had some internal challenges with we got behind on application processing basically, and we're getting caught up. We've pretty much gotten caught up now. We are just, as I said earlier, we're just about to release a new certification process, and what we want to do is put people through the new process. So just for ease of simplification, and frankly, it's better for people that are about to get certified. So yeah, it'd be a shame to go through the older process, and then a few days later, hey, here's a new process you got to go through now. So anyway, so yeah, so it's I appreciate how frustrating this is, and I apologize for that, but it will be a good thing in the long run for you, for anybody who's interested in getting certified as a coach.
But people who submitted the certification process throughout the current rule, they will fulfill their for instance, Disciplined Agile in Scrum Master certification as it is now?
Yes. So yeah, yes, that's good clarification. So anybody who's in process is going through the process now, and you'll be receiving, the appropriate emails when, whenever you hit the, whenever you get through the process. For those of you who have taken workshops before this point and haven't gone into the process yet, you should have already received an email saying, hey, you know what, you got to get in the process, because at a certain point, which I believe is July 23rd of 2020, we will stop accepting applications in the old way of working, because we want you to go through the new way. So, so short story, if you got such an email, that's the indication that you got to get into the process before, I believe the date is July 23rd. If not, it's sometime around then, but I believe it's July 23rd. So get in process if you got that email.
Okay, thank you for this clarification. And the last question. I really like my PMI ACP certification because it gave me a good agile mindset, free from specific frameworks. Are you going to sunset this certification? I think it's an excellent addition to DA and not a substitute.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. So we are not sunsetting ACP. We never intended to sunset ACP, and it's phenomenally unlikely we'll do so anytime soon, if at all. So in the new certification roadmap, which, as I said, is just about to come out, you'll see that how it all fits together. So how DA and ACP fit all together and all this sort of good stuff. So it'll be a lot more obvious very soon. Actually, I would argue that DA is a great extension for anybody with their ACP, because now you'll soon see that now there's a certification learning path, I guess you would say, for the certification path now, where so if you got an ACP, here's the next steps to take it further. So I think this is a very good thing for anybody with their ACP.
And this was our last question. So thank you very much, Scott. Back to you, Dario.
Yeah, but before saying really thanks and goodbye, there is of course an extra question and sort of bonus question. It's sometime that you're working with PMI in general, and maybe specifically with some chapters, we started doing presentation and so on. So by your experience so far, Scott, do you have more suggestion to the hundreds of chapters for PMI to how to better diffuse and promote DA?
Yeah, definitely. So if you already have one, your DA champions are great people to go to for DA information and do DA presentations with DA and get you going on that. Certainly they can, through them, please reach out to us, and we can do other webinars and presentations like this as well, very easily. And we've been doing that a lot. So that's been a very good thing, and that'll continue on for a long time, I hope. So yeah, there's a lot of great opportunity there. We are in the process of publishing new recordings and good stuff like that as well. So I think you'll find that over time there's going to be more and more assets that the chapters can leverage to learn DA. I would certainly suggest that you maybe start partnering with some of the ATPs in your area to do training for your chapter members. That's always a great idea. So there's a lot of opportunity, and the DA chapter champion program is a great thing to get involved with if your chapter hasn't already done so. So please reach out to us as well for that.
Okay, now it's really time for thanks and goodbye. Just remind to the listener that they can find more information on the freshly new page of the Northern Italy chapter, which, as you might see, is integrated now into the PMI.org website. And you can find about us, the events, how to get involved. We have more than 100 volunteers, the professional development, staying current. So thank you very much, and goodbye from Dario.